Welcome to Albany County Direct. I'm your host, County Executive Dan McCoy, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing the recent SNAP benefits, the scams, and how to protect yourself. So there's a lot going on we could get into, but I do want to say here with me today is Aaron Stakowitz, our Commissioner of Albany County Department of Social Services. Thank you for being here today. There's so many questions we're getting now because of what's going on at a national level, what's going on at the state level, what's the county going to do. So I thought, what better way to have a podcast, talk to people, get the message out there. But I really want to talk about first and foremost about the SNAP benefit scams that are out there and how can people protect themselves.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I'm really excited to at least get the word out. Like you said, this is really important. This has been going on for quite some time. As you know, over the last year, it's really kind of increased. And then we saw a little bit of a decline in the SNAP benefit skimming, but then it picked back up again. So it's really important that people pay attention to the benefit amount that's on their cards and that they reset their PIN numbers all the time. So there's a PIN that you actually have to access your benefits when you go to the store to purchase your food. So we encourage people to change their PIN monthly because that's one way to protect your benefits. The other thing you want to do is the state has a website. It's www.ebtedge.com that you can go to and you can actually lock your card down. So when you lock your card down, it freezes everything. So when you go to the store, you can download the app on your phone, whether you have a Google phone or an Apple phone. You can download the app, go in, unfreeze your card, use your benefits, and then you can click it and freeze it back up again. Because what's happening is people are actually going to the store using their benefits, and then when they leave, the PIN number and the identity of the card is stolen. When they go back the next time, there's no benefits left.
So that's so important because that really affects the families, right? And if they lose that benefit, and people don't realize, I know that we're on the stuff with eggs being so high and milk and going to the store. And now imagine somebody on these assistants that, really we give them money, but sometimes not a lot of money. And I think a local paper broke it down to what it means a meal a day, which really isn't a lot of money, right? Right. I think the Times Union did a story on it. But at the end of the day, when you look at what a family has, and if they lose that benefit and they lose that money or someone scams them, I mean, there's no other place for them to go because there's nothing we can do. Right. But, I think you putting it out there that they can go to that website. They can lock their card down. If you know something happened, reach out right away. But some of the things that when people directly hit me on the street or if I'm at an event, I say to them, I go, look, don't get caught. All these text scams going on now, right? Phone calls. I mean, I thought we had this do not call registry that I have registered a ton of times for, and yet I'm getting more phone calls and loan applications and saying I'm qualified. Don't believe it. Go to our website at Albany County, go to the state, go to a place you can trust. There's phone numbers in there you can trust. Just if someone calls you from the county and says, oh, hey, we need your PIN number, how often does that happen?
It never happens.
Exactly.
It never happens. Right. So people should be, giving their PIN numbers or their card numbers over the phone.
Right. It's too good to be true, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, this is how people get scammed. And at this time when people need more services ever than before and not know what's going to happen again on the national level as we get prepared for that, we want to make sure we're protecting the benefits people have now. To me, people have said to me, how widespread is this issue, would you say?
Well, I mean, it's still happening, So, I mean, it's happening, in various communities across the county, across the state, it's still happening. So I don't know if it's as widespread as it was because people are taking advantage of the EBT lock feature, so they can lock their benefits down. Yeah. Sometimes they don't do that until after it happens. So it's important that they try to do it now, and change their PIN number. So it's still happening. I think we've had, in Albany County alone, I think we've had probably about 75 cases in the last 3 months, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot of families that are losing their benefits. So it's important to make sure that you're doing something to protect what you are entitled to have.
Aaron, I'm glad you just said that because 75 is too many, right? Mm-hmm. Even one's too many. Mm-hmm. And some of the listeners are probably going, it's only 75 people, but people rely on that money, not just to feed themselves, to feed their kids first and foremost. And if they don't have kids to feed themselves. And there's so many programs that DSS has to offer. And I know we really talked about like what to look for, some of the scams that are out there. Is there any other ones you didn't talk about that that the people get reached out to in a scam, via text or email or call this number? Is there anything else you would warn anyone listening to this about?
I would say pay attention to the stores you're going to, the machines that you're, swiping your card at. A lot of the theft was coming from the overlay of the EBT card machine, the swiping machines. They have something that overlays that. A lot of the stores have gone to putting like little stickers on the side so you know that they're monitoring it, so you can pay attention to that. Some of the smaller private stores are not doing that. There may be a fraudulent point of sale machine that's being used in some of the smaller stores, so just be cognizant of that. So if you know that something happens after you leave that store, then you should maybe think about where you last shopped. So.
I think these are all like great issues and, or points I should say to bring up. I don't think people realize how much your department does to social services, right? How you intertwine in the community, how you're on the front lines with people from not just the SNAP, from HEAT, for getting housing, setting up food vouchers, getting them off the streets if they get evicted, things like to that nature. What would you say, like, someone's experience first walking in our building? Because I remember when I first became county executive and, people were like, you won't come up here on the first of the month. And I walked in, it is overwhelming. Like when, you got to go through security, then you walk in and there's like, you look around the whole room and you're like, wow, it is overwhelming. It was overwhelming for me. I can't imagine what it's like someone walking through. What would you like, just walk them through briefly and how would you sum it up in like 10 seconds?
I think that's a good starting point. When you walk in, you have to go through security and there's lots of people, right? You will see hundreds of people come into our building every day. You check in, you get a number, you sit down. It's like going to the DMV, right? And then you get called to people will ask you to come up, ask what you're there for. And then you'll be set an appointment to meet with one of the staff, depending on the program area you're looking to speak to them about. And you'll be called to the window and go through an interview process, probably fill out an application, and then they'll work with you to determine what they can assist you with. So it's a process that we go through every day. We see probably 300 to 400 people a day come through our doors. Some come in just to get a benefit card. Some of them come in to apply for various things or are looking to get additional assistance that they may need.
And one thing is I really want to highlight this, and I want to say this, in Albany County, when we had the immigration coming in, from downstate New York, and the immigrants were here, one of the issues we had was like, and I said this, housing opportunities, can our services provide this? I kept focusing on the people that are homeless here in the county, what our shelters look like. We had 8 shelters, we went down to 5, what our food pantries were dealing with before this happened. We rolled up our sleeves. So I want to make this clear. We didn't say no. We accepted the immigrants being shipped up here unannounced to us in the most part. And we did our job, and the nonprofits did, and all the different organizations. And a lot of it got highlighted, and people donated like a lot of stuff to the food pantries. We need that to continue. But I also want to highlight, and I've said this from the beginning, we have a lot of people here in this country that unfortunately are on hard times living in the streets or on assistance. And I think that's just as important. Please give back to the local people. They have the same stories that might not come from a foreign country, but they fell on hard times. They either lost their job or the rent got too high and they couldn't afford it. And what's alarming to me, Aaron, and we've talked about this, is the women with children that are living on the street here. People don't realize in our school districts, kids can come get their laundry done now. I think Albany High's really done a good pilot program. They're continued on. They don't understand like why kids, don't go to school. Like my brother-in-law, John Rosenzweig's the truant's officer for the school district. And a lot of it amounts to because they either are hungry or they don't have clean clothes, or they feel like, their clothes don't fit in and they don't want to be picked on, and they don't go to school. They want to go to school, but they don't want to be picked on, and they don't want to go there with dirty clothes or wearing the same pair of jeans for 3 days, or, you know how kids can be. What would you say to people, and I know we didn't talk about this beforehand, that are listening to this, like how can you bring awareness, or, how can you help these families that are on the streets, or, just not just giving to food pantries, but giving back like we did to immigrants that came here. We need to continue this on. We need to fill our food pantries. We need to continue to do that. But most importantly, we need to highlight the people that are here that are homeless, that need help, that are living in shelters, that we want to get into housing. What would you say?
I
know
agree.
it's a huge
it is a huge thing,
it's
right?
a statement I just made. But.
Yeah. No, and I think that, people have to remember that, in addition to the kids that don't go to school because of those specific reasons you said, because they may not have the cleanest clothes or, may not have the ability to get there because of transportation issues, whatever, which we work on. But there's also kids that go to school that are actually sitting next to you who might have nice clothes on because they may have somebody who have helped give that to them, right? Maybe have donated some nice clothes so they can go to school, some nice shoes so they can fit in, right? And you may not know that they're homeless if they're sitting next to you. It's important. It takes a village, right? It takes a village. So our shelters, they take a lot of collections of different items, bedding so they have a nice, place to sleep. They ask for clothes so the kids can go to school. The food pantries always need more help, right? More people, as things become more expensive, people need help. So it takes a village. It takes a lot of community partners to kind of get it together to help the people that are homeless and are most in need.
No, and I agree. And people, just go to a website. You can Google it. You'll find out food pantries in Albany County. You can find out the nonprofits that are giving back. And, one thing I'll say about media, the newspapers and local the media in general, they really didn't highlight our own people. Mm-hmm. And again, I was all in. So, I was not anti any of this. We figured it out, which that's what we do in Albany County government. We figure it out. We don't point fingers. We get it done. But I also want to highlight this important issue because what breaks my heart is that we have Americans that are here that literally need all these services, need help. These organizations need help with people here locally. Please volunteer, do the same thing. Not only because if we get our people back off the street or the help that they need, that gives more resources. If we do get more immigrants that come here, people that want to move here from another state or a foreign country, we're here. We can assist them. Right. So please, look at the whole thing, educate yourself, and give back to our people here in Albany County, because that's what I love about Albany County. We really care about the people here, and so does your department. And I can't thank all the workers enough at the Department of Social Services. They have a hard job. It's not easy.
They do.
And, when people go in and they're belly aching about their jobs, not there in other places, I'm like, come spend a day with our workers at DSS, because unfortunately you're dealing with people that are so down on their luck, they don't want to go in there. And I see their faces and they get cranky, and because again, they don't, it's hard for them to go in there and say, hey, I'm hungry, I need help, or I need a plate, I can't pay the heating bill, or I need to put more food on my table. So please look through their lens, understand their pain, and help them out. And that's what we're all about, man. We build a foundation, we build that village with the foundation, we get people taken care of, and I love it. So Erin, thank you for joining me today. She's Erin Sakowitz is our commissioner from the Department of Social Services. I want to say to everyone, thank you for listening. And if you're interested in learning more about issues, visit this link in our episode. It will tell you what's going on. And also, if you have any questions on this, anyone that's on assistance and has questions, go to our website at albanycounty.gov. You can go to social services. You can reach out. You can reach out to my office. We're there to assist. We're there to help. And the only way we can improve services is with feedback. Good and bad. Trust me. We don't want all negative feedback, but also, it helps us to improve it so that doesn't continue on. And again, we're there to provide a service. We work for you. You don't work for us. And I like to remind people of that, because everyone says, how's it nice to be your own boss? I go, no, I work for 320,000 people. At the end of the day, I work for you. You don't work for me. It's not a dictatorship. We're here in a partnership to get things done.
That's right.
Please, your feedback's so important. Again, I just want to thank everyone. This is Albany County Direct. I'm Dan McCoy, County Executive for Albany County. We just had Erin Sakowitz on here. Do you want to say anything before we part?
No, I thank you, and I appreciate it. And, I think it's good. I think one of the things I want to say is that people often connotate Department of Social Services as a negative kind of eligibility process, but it really is a good thing, and we're here to help the people. So I agree. Feedback is important, and we want to do what we can because we do care about our constituents. So.
Oh, I do want to say one thing. And again, this is kind of it's on topic, but a little bit off. We get a lot of people like, well, why do we have to go to Albany? Why do we have to go to Washington Ave? And as we were talking about selling the building there and moving, we are trying. I would love to do what we've done with our aging department, other departments. We go to Burn Knox to Westerlo once a week. We put probation services out there. We put all the services they need. Unfortunately, as you know, in DSS, it's all the computer systems where it's set up. I would love to have a mobile van that we can go right into neighborhoods and do this type of of service. So they don't have to come into our buildings. So they don't have to be inconvenienced. Make it, more accessible. It makes sense. But this falls to the state of New York and to the federal government, because the state, I want to remind people, we have no say over any of these programs.
Right.
It's federally and state funded. I also want to remind the listeners, New York State's probably the only state in this nation that does social services on the county level to this degree.
That's correct.
I think there's other couple of counties that do what we do, but not to this degree, because I'm president of County Executives of America on a national level. So when I was talking to the new Dan Betson, the new county executive in New Jersey, who represents like 1 million people. And he was like, how is your budget bigger than mine? New Jersey doesn't even do, their county government doesn't do this type of work. This is unique to New York State, passing the buck down. And that's why I say, like, with the budget, with the federal government going on, I'm nervous because the state does what it does best. The Senate and Assembly say, oh, counties, you got to live in a 2% world, which we did send them a letter saying, hey, cap yourselves at 2% when you do unfunded mandates. This is unfunded mandate. We have no say. And when you do straighten stuff out and you deny a claim or you deny something, they come back and tell us you have to do it. And then 8 months later, a year, they say, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that. Well, you told us to.
Right.
It's tough, right? And I used to go at it with the last governor and say, why don't you take it into the state? Yes, take all the workers, make them state workers, run this program, because I'm just managing the workers, trying to educate the public on the services and that type of stuff. So don't get me wrong. And same with you. It's not just about management, but you find something wrong, you can't change it because it takes an act of Congress for you to bring it up to the state level. And I just want people to understand that, because it's not the workers. It's not Erin, who's been a great commissioner, and her team and her deputies there and all the supervisors and workers. They want to change things, people. Trust me when I say this.
They do.
We can't. Our hands are tied. You have to go to your senators, your assembly members that sit there and point the finger at us, but make us do this program, and we can't change a damn thing. So if you want to change and you want us in your neighborhoods and you want convenience, tell them when they're walking around getting petitions, tell them when they're out in the streets or at a rally, hey, make it where we can be mobilized, where we can get to you, where we can bring the services to your doorstep. We can't do that. Our hands are tied. But again, I do want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. Many more to come. You can also check us out on other episodes on Spotify or Apple Music, and subscribe and never miss an update. I want to say thank you for listening. Erin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to my team.